everyone. This is a brief discussion about the basic and types of communication and to determine the key takeaways from this lesson or discussion. So first, let us discuss what is communication. So communication is a process of sending and receiving message in order for us to share information, knowledge, ideas, and including our feelings. So example is a simple conversation with our friends and family. So as long as interaction is present, it is already a communication. So let us proceed to the types of communication according to mode.
So here are the types of communication according to mood. There are the three types: the verbal communication, non-verbal communication, and the visual communication. So what is verbal communication? Verbal communication is a spoken words or the use of speech and language to convey messages. For example, is the video call, voice messages. Next, we go to non-verbal communication. Body language, facial expression, eye contact, appearance, sign language. So here the best example is the pipi and bingi. Next, the visual communication. Through visual messages like picture, graphs, objects, and visual facets. The example in here is the paintings, art, or any artworks. So let's continue to the types of communication according to context.
Number 1. Intrapersonal communication occurs when people communicate with themselves, meaning it refers to the conversation that is continually going on in your mind. Examples are self-talk and mirror talk. Number 2. Interpersonal communication. Interpersonal communication occurs between two or small group of people. It means that people exchange information, feelings, and meaning through verbal and non-verbal messages. It is a face-to-face communication. Examples are phone calls, presentations, and meetings.
Intercultural communication. Intercultural communication takes place between members of different cultures, including different religious groups or people of national origins. Example here is when an American and African share their views. Another example is when a Christian converses with Muslims.
Extended communication. Extended communication involves the use of electronic media. With the use of electronic media, messages are transmitted quickly. Nowadays, the definition of extended communication can be broadened to encompass tele, audio, or phone conferencing, video conferencing, Skype calls, and other modern means, as opposed to the past when it exclusively referred to the usage of television and radio. An example of extended communication is if our family or friends are far away, and the only way to communicate them is through any social media platform such as Facebook, Messenger, Instagram, Gmail, Skype, and many more. These platforms are usually used by the majority because it is more convenient and faster to send and receive messages. Compared before, during the time of our parents, they have to go to any post office that is responsible for handling the transmission of mails when such applications did not exist, and they had to write their message on a piece of paper and send it to the person they wanted to give it to.
Organizational communication. Organizational communication takes place among members of an organization. Organizational communication is the term used to define communication that takes place in business environments. There's a bit more to it than that.
Types of communication according to the purpose and style. There are two types of communication. The first one is formal communication. Formal communication refers to a flow of information through proper predefined channels and routes. The flow of information is controlled and needs deliberate effort to properly communicated. Formal communication flows is a hierarchical structure and chain of command. For example, business letter reports. The second is informal communication. Informal communication is a casual communication between two workers in a workplace. It is unofficial in nature and is based in the informal social relationships that are formed in a workplace outside of the normal hierarchy of business structure. Formal information can also be gesture with no words. Informal in the workplace is often called the grapevine. For example, speaking to a person about the weather, writing on an email about your holidays, sending a birthday card, or talking to someone at the grocery shop.
I believe that everyone understands what does communication means and the types of communication which always used in everyday life as means of interaction or communication.